You're watching TV5 with Zeta Tau Alpha.
Welcome back to the final ever edition of Feedback. It's a pretty sad night for me, but we're using this half hour to look back at some of my favorite moments from my 3 years hosting this show. Perhaps my first big interview was that of a musical star. Ann Hampton Callaway is, in my opinion, one of the world's greatest jazz vocalists. She sings in the style of Ella Fitzgerald and is one of America's great vocalists. A few years ago, she starred in the Broadway musical Swing. It was at that time I got to do a phone interview with her, and she actually sang to me on the phone. Well, you know, I was just thinking this. We've been talking about scat. Maybe could you explain exactly what it is to our viewers?
Sure. Scat is the use of voice rhythmically to a harmonic structure, say a song, which has chords. And it's basically taking the voice and using nonsense syllables. Like some people like to do, you know, like Frank Sinatra would say doobie doobie doo. Mm-hmm. But everybody seems to have their own scat syllables, like
I'm on like the floor now after listening to it. I'm amazed by that.
Well, you know, after a cocktail or two, I could even get you to sing scat. So
I remember that interview like it was yesterday. I'm rarely nervous before I do interviews for this program, but I was extremely nervous when I interviewed Ann. And it was even by phone, so it wasn't like I had to face her in person. Anyway, Ann has just released a new CD titled Signature. I haven't heard it yet, but I can only imagine it's as good as the rest of her work. Moving on. In April of last year, we talked creativity with creativity expert Jeff Tobe. He is a great speaker and really has a lot to say about how to enhance your own personal creativity. Here's a look back at my interview with Jeff.
So,
crayons are your metaphor for doing this. Why crayons?
well, you know, it all comes from coloring outside the lines, really. And coloring outside the lines actually comes from my father, who gave me a poem when I was 10 years old. Not a very poetic kind of guy, but he found it. It was anonymously written. I was walking home one day, and I had the worst report card I'd ever received. I mean, I wasn't a bad student. I got A's and B's, but what I dreaded on the bottom of our report cards, you know, what was the one word we all had? That we all hated. Remember?
Well, there's a lot. But
yeah, well, mostly it was comments. You know,
yeah,
conduct.
Conduct,
yeah.
Sure.
Oh, I got good grades, but what I hated was, you know, Jeffrey has seen the hallway more than our janitors, you know. Jeffrey is on a first-name basis with the principal. I don't know. Jeffrey won't stand in line when told to. Well, those kinds of things. And I was walking home when I was 10 years old, and I had the terrible report card. Not only did I have bad comments, but I had an F, one F for failure. I was scared to go home. And I walked home, and my dad basically didn't say a thing. He handed me a copy of a poem, and he said, "Here, read this." Now, like I say, he's not a very poetic kind of guy. He found it. It's anonymously written. But the first line is, "Coloring outside the lines is scary business." And it just became the metaphor for everything I do. It wasn't originally the name of my company or my book or anything, but I was walking through Chicago O'Hare one day, and a guy stopped me. He said, I know you. You're the Coloring Outside the Lines guy, the crayons guy. And as soon as he said that, I said, you know what, this works. And so we started to use it, and that's really a brand. Everything we send out from our office, as you know, is sent in crayon or in colorful markers.
I got this note from you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it from there, but it's all in different colors.
Multiple colors, and it just gives us a little bit of leeway. That's all. We have a lot of fun. I don't know if you notice on my card that I'm not president. I don't own the company. I'm actually the primary colorer.
Jeff really has a lot of great ideas, and his book is worth reading. It's called Coloring Outside the Lines. Well, we are winding down to the last 15 minutes of feedback ever. Stay with us. More of my favorite highlights are right after the break. Feedback continues in 2 minutes.